yeah, I always make sure that that's in my pocket when I'm hanging out with those guys. Because you never know what might
or
get
hide
tweeted.
your Twitter app. Like bury it in a folder somewhere.
Buried in a folder so they can't get to it easily.
Hi, guys.
One more, quick one. Hey.
I was just wondering, what's your favorite prank you've ever pulled?
Favorite prank I've ever pulled? Oh gosh, I'm not a big prankster. I don't think. I don't think I've ever been on a show long enough to feel comfortable pranking anyone.
I'm not a big.
I mean, maybe like going and using somebody's restroom in their trailer on a hot day, and then turning the heat on.
Any that you've been an accomplice of?
I mean, I may or may not have done that at some point.
It's such a
gross.
dude thing, huh?
And by the way, I love the way
women
he's
are never like, I'm gonna go shit in their toilet and turn the heat on.
But he started that
Never.
story with that sort of aw shucks. He was like, I don't know, man. I don't like to mess with people. I'm not, I mean, heck, I don't know the guys that well. I mean, sure, I'll shit in their wardrobe, but I don't, light it on fire. Oh, and I had sex with their wife, but that's just for a laugh. And then I shit in their bed.
But nothing that bad.
But I'm not really a jokester. That's not really my thing. Sorry, hope that answered your question.
I think in general our group's pretty safe though.
Yeah, we're safe.
Right? Like we're good about taking care of each other.
Well, I tell you what, I'm not leaving my trailer door unlocked. I can assure you that those days are over.
You get a trailer?
No. But if I did.
Yeah, you get a trailer.
But I do have a lock.
And a door.
All right, well, hey, one more question. Take
All right, one more,
question.
Ashley.
Hey, my question's for Gil. I wanted to know what your experience was like on Grey's Anatomy compared to Supernatural.
Oh, Grey's Anatomy compared to Supernatural? Wow. I mean, nothing really compares to Supernatural as far as a guest star goes. But Grey's was fun. Yeah, it's a fun show to work on. I know it's got a huge following as well. Honestly, I probably don't even remember what that story was about. It's been so long. But yeah, it was a lot of fun to work on. It's like such an incredible show, and it's been on a long time. So I felt very lucky to get to go work on it. But nothing compares to Supernatural.
I love that.
Thank you.
That's a good answer. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to see these people tonight on this stage. Gil McKinney and Elena Huffman, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Just the two of us.
Two of them.
We can make it if we try. Just the two of us.
Just both of them.
You and I.
There they go.
Just the two of us.
The two of them.
Building castles in the sky. Just the two of us.
Making castles.
You and I.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the awkward part of the program where Rob Benedict and Richard Speight now have to introduce Rob Benedict and Richard Speight onto the stage. So we're going to leave and pretend like we weren't here.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Matt Cohen, Richard Speight Jr., and Rob Benedict.
Magic number.
It's a magic number. Yeah, it is. It's a magic number. 3. It's a magic number. Yeah, it is. It's a magic number.
New Orleans, what the hell is going on?
Elvis
Has a broken femur. Yes, he does. Has a broken femur. That's what we'll be singing one day.
You know, Matt always jumps off the chair at the beginning of our panel.
He does.
And this year we were quite worried because it's a slippery stage. It's extra slippery. So I was like, Matt, maybe don't go for it quite as big. And he's like, Robbie, people in New Orleans deserve a big jump.
That's right, they do.
I'm going for it. So
I wasn't about to deliver a mediocre jump to you guys. Big jumps.
we almost
only.
had chairgate.
He literally said, be careful, Matt, slippery. He gave him words of warning. And Matt turned to him and said, June 6, 1944. Eisenhower gave the go-ahead. Sure, the chairs were slippery on the decks of the ships. Did they stop? No, sir. No, sir, they sailed forward. Brave men. Liberating Europe, Robbo. Liberating Europe. What if Sergeant Benedict had said, hey, fellas.
And I said, Matt, we're not at war.
And he said, we are now, mofo.
And stage manager Liz, God bless her, put tape on the bottom of this chair so it wouldn't slip. I mean, we had a lot of work went into that jump. I'm just so glad we survived it.
That's right.
Jump gate.
Like I said, I'm a hero and a warrior, and you're welcome.
Matt Cohen is precious cargo.
Thanks for your service, Matt.
I like it. Liz made sure this didn't slip for Matt Cohen. And they were like, oh, actually, Rich is doing the jump. She's like, oh, starts taking the tape off. Start sawing one of the legs slightly.
I said to you, I was like, Liz rigged a chair special. And you're like, are you doing a bit? You joking right now? I'm like,
I thought you were yanking my chain. Yeah. The old Liz fixed the chair bit. Yeah, that's the problem. She's going to give me a box. Yeah. All right. It's hard to hear on the stage.
Well, anyway, this is Richard. You know that because we've been on stage for a day and a half, and I'm Rob. But you haven't seen this guy much. This is Matt Cohen.
How's it going?
Well, some of them saw me last night at karaoke. Who was at karaoke last night? That was a really good time, wasn't it? And well worth the headache I have right now. It was good.
Hey, so inquiring minds want to know, did you get up and go to the gym this morning?
I did. Yes. But I had to, because chair jumps like that don't come to men that don't work for them, you know? I had to work.
I
was
noticed.
Up there
I've been waiting for a chair jump for years. It's never arrived. Oh, there's our stage manager, Liz, everybody.
DJ Liz!
Wait a minute, that's DJ Liz? I didn't recognize her out of her costume. Well, we should take questions because that's part of the title of the panel.
Sure.
Q&A.
This side or that side?
We can't give an A if we don't get a Q, so let's do that. Go ahead, Robbo.
Well, we can give a little A.
Good morning. My question is for Rob, and I've been wanting to ask this for a while. Chuck, when he first appeared, was a very lovable, hapless, lovable loser sort of guy.
I would never put it that way myself.
No, it's coincidentally so is Rob.
Lovable loser, though. But yeah, so I
really
loved his character, and he was just this little sweetheart. And then with the big God reveal, of course, the character of God is cool too. But I have trouble reconciling the two, because now when I go back and see Chuck, it just seems like he's just another manipulative dude leading the guys on and lying to them. And
Matt and I are going to go get a sandwich. See you guys.
And it makes it hard. Now when I see Chuck, it's like, you jerk. So.
You mean because why didn't he say at the time, like, I'm God?
Or just stay out of it. You know, I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. I mean,
how do you reconcile? I wonder if God was like in Chuck's subconscious, it would have been different. But apparently he was aware of it all along.
Yeah, well, it's, I mean, look.
I love you anyway, but...
No, thank you for your comment. God, as Chuck at that time, for whatever reason, he chose to let the boys discover. They needed to discover on their own what was going on. Maybe he didn't have it in his plan yet to reveal himself. I think we find out in season 11 that, God has been here all along. And I think that's kind of the point, is that, it's not his job to step in and go, this is how you do it. And so people in general need to find their own way. So that's why.
Okay.
That was a good answer.
Thank you, sir.
Can we just throw back to the beginning of the question? So, Rob, you're a loser. And you played a real shit pile character. I've questioned why and why bother and why not quit?
I love you and thank you for the question. That was a great question. Thank you. I love that you guys were, as my friends, we're having such a great time. Like, oh, shit. We gotta, all right. You know what? Hide the knives.
I was back there literally putting Nerf balls on all the forks. So It won't cut.
Liz, we're going to need a shot and you got any vitamin C?
We need a B vitamin shot.
Some
Sierra
B12
Nevada.
injections
Make them
up here.
2 Sierra Nevadas. Anyway, you survived, Bravo. Well done.
We did well.
You.
Hi.
Hi.
So I was at karaoke last night, and I was wondering what y'all's favorite songs to sing are at karaoke nights.
My favorite song to sing at karaoke night?
All of you.
My favorite song to sing at karaoke night is to not sing at karaoke night, which is why I started the karaoke party with Matt Cohen, because neither of us wanted to sing. So we thought, if we put on goofy outfits and have other people put on goofy outfits, they'll want to get on stage and sing, and we won't have to do a damn thing but hand them a mic. Mission accomplished. However, Rob Benedict, who's an actual singer in an actual band, has a couple of go-to karaoke songs.
Well, this isn't even one of my go-tos. It's just a song that's always sung on karaoke. My favorite is Bohemian Rhapsody. I think it's the ultimate karaoke song. And no matter what, no matter how well I sing it, which I don't sing it very well, because especially the gotta moosh part, I don't know, I can't get the timing of that right. I'm never going to sing it as well as Freddie Mercury. So I think it's the ultimate karaoke song, because you're always striving to be better than, but you never can be better than. So I think that would be my
But
favorite.
now,
But
on
my
this-
go-to is Jesse's Girl. I really love Jesse's Girl.
Yeah, there you go.
That's always been my go-to.
My Sharona
My
was an
Sharona. I
early-
really love My Sharona.
And we did a thing last night that was a real kind of gag. They didn't have, DJ Liz didn't have Jesse's Girl. And Rob wasn't really planning on singing, but I was like, you do a number. You know, people love David S. Pumpkins. You're a cult hero. So he said, okay. They didn't have the song, and I said, all right, Rob, I'm just going to start it. We're just going to go over there and pick a song for you and have you just randomly do it. And so we did Wanted, Dead or Alive. And, dude, you killed it. That was great. You did a great job.
That was fun.
It would have been fun to watch you fail, but no, sir. I can't stump the lead singer of a band. It's not going to happen.
Not with that suit on, especially.
No,
There's
man.
no failing when you show up in a
It's all
suit.
just the suit, man.
That was great. Matt, do you have, in another life, do you actually do karaoke, like at secret locations around the valley? And
No.
okay.
No, never.
What's your favorite karaoke song to do?
I don't really have one. I like Don't Stop Believing by
Don't Stop Believing. That's a solid anthem.
My favorite was the time that Richard was like, this next song, ominous message from Journey, Stop Believing. Oh, no, sorry, Don't Stop Believing. It's my favorite Richard Spate bits at karaoke.
I remember doing that. You laughed your face off, as did 4 other people in the audience. Most of our jokes are really for us, and occasionally the blast radius hits one person and they get the joke. Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
Hello.
Hey.
Rich and Matt, as much as I adore you, my question is for Rob.
That's okay. We're all 3 here.
Thank you.
That's why we brought him.
How is it like working on documentary now?
Oh, man, it was a dream come true.
Freaking hilarious.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Those 2 guys are just like 2 of my favorite comedic actors. Fred Armisen is, I think, just such a genius. And I just had a great time. And it was one of those jobs, too, where they're like, you know, they kind of asked me if I wanted to do it, but they're like, you know, it's the character is not, he's like the documentarian, so he's not like the main focus of the whole episode. So I'm like, you had me at like Fred Armisen, like I'm in, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know it was, and I even like I was there watching them work even when I wasn't supposed to be there, just because it just was such a treat to watch them improv. So yeah, documentary now. If you haven't seen it, it's on IFC. You can stream it or whatever.
It's on Netflix.
Netflix. It's on Netflix. It's on the Netflix.
Thank you.
Thank you.
so much.
You.
My question is for Rich. I am a big history buff, so even before I was a fan of Supernatural, I loved Band of Brothers.
Very cool.
So I want to know, how did working on a project like that with HBO and people like Spielberg and Tom Hanks, how did that help shape your life and your career?
Interesting question. I'm a huge fan of that experience. Band of Brothers was a monumental deal for me because I was a struggling actor. It was my first big job, but then, of course, that ended up being bigger than just a job because you're playing real people who fought in a real war and, in my case, lost their lives doing it, and in every case, lost their friends or family members in the process. So it was a very intense experience. I'm super close with the actors still. These guys have met a bunch of them because if we're in a town and they're shooting something in a town, they'll come backstage, hang out with us. Michael Cudlitz used to do karaoke with us before he was on Walking Dead. He'd come just hang out.
Burbank.
And in Vancouver, we had Ron Livingston and Rick Gomez hanging out. I mean, it's just an incredibly close-knit group of guys, including the British fellas, because we bonded over this show that was not ego-driven, it was honesty-driven. And, you know, Tom Hanks said early on in the process, when we all got hired and we're in our mess hall about to start boot camp, he said, we're not making a war movie, we're filming a war. You worry about what you're supposed to do with your squad, when you're supposed to do it, and we'll worry about how to capture it and put it on film. Which means, unlike most TV shows, we didn't really know where the cameras were. We didn't know when the camera would be on us. We would rehearse battles and then go shoot battles. Interesting piece of Band of Brothers trivia that I don't think Rob even knew till recently. But we trained the American soldiers, actors playing American soldiers, did a boot camp. There was a separate boot camp for the men playing the Germans. And we never met them. We never saw them. So they would practice, and almost all the people you see playing Germans or the other people in Easy Company who aren't speaking actors were ex-military. So they were the real deal and knew what they were doing. So those guys trained somewhere else doing something else. And so when we would run a battle sequence, we had never run it with the Germans until we shot it. So we would run up on a hill, flop down, and might load up your M1 and start popping off rounds. And they had rehearsed their moves through the woods or whatever, and they knew when they were supposed to fall. They would just take a shot and drop. And if you happened to be aiming your M1 that was firing blanks at a German who knew he was going to drop at that tree line, and you fired and he dropped, it was weird. There was a lot of moments making that series that did not feel like you were making television, and I think that's what made it great television. What I think really made that show work was the involvement with the veterans. HBO, Tom Hanks, Steven Spielberg took that very seriously. They involved the veterans. The veterans were interviewed way before they put pen to paper to write the scripts. They interviewed the men who fought the battles. They had Stephen Ambrose's books as source material. They interviewed them on film to use in the series. They flew them over to London when we were shooting. We had access to either our veteran or our veterans' close friends and would call them and read them scenes, and they would say this happened or this didn't happen. I remember Lipton, who was played by Donnie Wahlberg, took himself out of a night march because he talked to Lipton, and Lipton said, I didn't go in that night march. So he'd show up on set and go, I'm not in this scene, I'm going home. And Spielberg and Hanks had basically told the directors, listen to the guys, they're doing their research, they're doing their homework, they know what's going on. So if they say that, the answer is okay, because no actor ever takes himself out of a scene. You know, everybody wants to be on camera. So if you're doing that, you're doing it for the right reasons.
Or like that's that time that you changed your line.
Yeah, I talked to. So I had a lot of conversations with Don Malarkey, who I must say just 2 weeks ago passed away, and true loss. I loved that man. He was the veteran with whom I was the closest. He was Skip Muck's best friend in real life, and just a saint of a guy. So it's a real loss to have him pass. But he was the man I would talk to the most. And he, in the script it said Skip Muck was from Florida. You know, he had some line about being from Florida. And I talked to Malarkey, and he's like, he's not from Florida, he's from Tonawanda, New York. He's from upstate New York. And I go, oh, okay. So I go on set, and Tom Hanks is directing that episode, and I said, you know, it's still very intimidating to talk to Tom Hanks. You know, it's like... It's like stopping Santa Claus and be like, excuse me, the mythical figure of my life is now standing in front of me. And I'm like, Mr. Hanks. I talked to Don Malarkey, and Muck isn't from Florida. He's from Tonawanda, New York. So can I say that instead? He's like, yeah, sure. That's where he's from. Say it. He sounded a lot like David S. Pumpkins, as a matter of fact. He said, yeah, you can. And so now if you watch episode 5 of that series, and Malarkey comes in the movie theater, and he says, where have you been? I say, I was at home in Tonawanda, but now Hitler started this whole thing, and now I'm here. That's a line I made up based on wanting to say where Muck was really from. It was that kind of thing. Sitting in the foxhole, talking about swimming the Niagara River, was a true story that was sent to me in a letter from Skip Muck's sister. Sent me a letter talking about swimming the Niagara River. And I went to the director, David Frankel. I said, this is a great story. And he said, let's shoot it. Put you in a foxhole, sit next to Luz and Pincala. Just tell the story like it was in the letter. And that's what I did. It's a true story. The girlfriend I mentioned was his girlfriend. The event happened as it happened. And last thing I'll say, interesting piece of Hollywood trivia. So Skip Muck swims the Niagara River before he goes to fight the war, which is a very, very, very fast river and a dangerous river because obviously it leads to Niagara Falls. So if you get tired, you die. But he was a young hellion and wanted to prove his strength. So he's going to swim across the Niagara River. His friends thought he was crazy. So one of his buddies was going to paddle alongside him in a boat to be sure if anything went wrong, he'd have a safety net. He'd be able to jump in the boat. So Skip Muck swims the Niagara River, and the guy in the boat paddling alongside him is Fritz Nyland. And Fritz Nyland may not mean anything to you, except for Hollywood made a movie about Fritz Nyland, and they changed his last name to Ryan, and he's the Private Ryan that got pulled out of the war.
Crazy.
He was the brother that lived. And it's the 5 Ryan brothers. And there's a monument to that event from the spot on the river where they shoved off. There's a monument in Tonawanda, New York. I actually spoke at the dedication of the monument a few years ago. They built a monument to Skip Muck, to Fritz Nyland and his 4 brothers who died in the war, and all other soldiers of wars past and present and future. But I think it's a fascinating little piece of Hollywood trivia that two significant events cinematically, Band of Brothers and Private Ryan, both have central characters that come from this tiny little town in Tonawanda, New York, who knew each other. Crazy world. Anyway.
Insane.
Thank you for watching the series, man. I'm glad you enjoyed it. You.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
No, it's echoey. My question is, what is your favorite beer to drink?
Well, I'll go first. Just kidding.
Well,
You were kidding?
yours was coming out. Go, what is it?
Sierra Nevada.
Sierra Nevada.
Sure about it. I think mine is Ballast Point, which is a beer out of San Diego. The Ballast Point Grapefruit Sculpin is my favorite beer.
That is good.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of this Eel River IPA. Have you heard of it? It's
Yes.
organic, so...
I've heard of it. I don't drink IPAs, though. So.
You don't drink IPAs?
Nah, too
You don't
bitter.
like the taste of fresh cut grass?
Too bitter.
Great.
I used to not, but now that's all. Now that's all I can drink.
Rob turned us all into... Didn't he turn you into...
100%.
Rob turned us all into
the first
IPA
time I drank
drinkers.
an IPA, I was
yeah,
like,
I know.
this
That's how I felt.
tastes like grass. Like hay and grass had a baby with Brussels sprouts.
That's right.
Right in there. And now I love it, partially because most IPAs are 7 or 8% alcohol, and that is fun.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think my other favorite beer, by the way, is Terminal Gravity, which I tell you guys about a lot, but they don't sell it outside of Oregon. It's hard to find outside of Oregon.
Right.
But this is this beer that's made in Enterprise, Oregon, called Terminal Gravity, and I love that so much. And it's such a bummer you can't get it outside.
Wait, I have another one too. Brother Thelonious. Have you guys ever heard Brother Thelonious?
No.
It's like 14% alcohol.
Jesus.
I'm going to have to look into that one.
By the way, Matt, you're slowly getting the moonshine. Just so you know,
Exactly.
you know.
Funny you should say it. It's my 3rd favorite beer.
I like rubbing alcohol.
Yes.
There's a beer called Everclear. I love
So refreshing.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your question.
Thank you.
By the way, she asked a question. Suddenly, we all have answers. You're like, oh, I've got. Ooh,
Let me go first. Let me go first.
I can only say one.
I love it. You know, I laughed when you said Ballast Point. Maybe because after the Band of Brothers stories, like you're such a great orator. You're like, it's called Ballast Point. Funny story about Ballast Point. I imagine there's gonna be a whole story about it's grapefruit flavor. Story about the grapefruit. Did you know grapefruit? Really made me
All right,
laugh.
you.
Hi.
Hi.
So, we know that like some nights for cons, you guys go to like really cool places. Like right now we're in New Orleans, and do you have any memorable experience like during like breaks and cons, and you just go out and have fun?
Well, every time we have a convention in Europe, it's just amazing. In particular, Rome. We really love going to Rome because it's Rome, and it's fun there too because we we always love when we get to stay in the city we're in. Like, this is amazing. New Orleans, we're actually in the French Quarter, which is amazing. And some others, Vancouver, Toronto. Yeah, we stay in the city. Sometimes with Chicago, we actually stay out by the airport, which is like an hour from downtown, so you don't get to see the city as much. But when we go to Rome, we actually stay in Rome. We're all on the same schedule. So that's the other thing. It's like, you know, we're all buddies, but the three of us always have the same schedule, which is why we're very close. But like Jensen and Jared, they don't come in until, you know, Saturday night or whatever. So, but in Rome, we're all there together. We have the same schedule. So, you know, you go to dinner and you're walking back to the hotel and you walk past the Colosseum and you're like, what the hell? It's just, it's amazing. So
this is a true piece of Hollywood, Rome trivia. And Rob, you will not, there's no way you'll deny this. I do not understand this. And it, maybe there's a twinge of jealousy. I don't know.
Just a touch.
But for whatever reason, one thing that happens every year at the RomeCon is Jensen Ackles takes pictures, glorious photos of Rob in front of all the monuments. And then brings it back to the hotel like, hey, Spade, look at that. Look at Robbo. Damn. Oh, look at Trevi Fountain. That's Robert Fountain. It's a goddamn good photo. Oh, we just saw this tunnel. He just stepped in there. We took this picture. Good photo. I'm like, yeah, they're great shots, Jensen. Hold on, a couple more.
Robbie's like the tourist in front of me. He's all like,
yeah. But they're all like, it's not even Rob being goofy. It's like, Rob, like,
it's because
it's European Rob. Here's something you also don't know about Rob. Rob's neurotic in real life. He's admittedly neurotic. European Rob is not neurotic.
oh, it's a different Robbie.
European Rob is very, very relaxed, very calm, very in control. It like kind of breaks hearts, and you know, men want to be him, women want to sleep with him. It's a crazy different. And it happens like the second he gets to customs, like sorry, I'm just visiting your country and can't wait to hang out and have some food and see the sights. Thank you. Hey guys.
I even dress different, I think.
Yeah, he's bescarfed a lot and behatted. There's a lot of hats and scarves and a lot of Ackles going like, that's good, hold on.
The thing about that is that Jensen is amazing at everything. It's annoying how good he is. And it's his pictures are really what he's showing you. They're such great pictures. Like this. Totally. That's what he does.
It's a good goddamn shot of Bubbo. Real pretty shot of Bubbo.
My favorite Jensen story.
Spate, you want me to send you these? No, I'm good. Thanks, man.
I've actually moved on.
I got the first 40. Literally, you could go through Ackles' phone in Rome like that fast, and it would be like Rob going.
it's like a claymation Robbie movie. Ladies and gentlemen, a talent we never knew Richard Spade had, slow motion, shaky acting.
Thank you.
Live animation.
Well, nothing drives my comedy and creativity more than unbridled anger.
Towards Rob.
Towards Rob. Well, listen, I tell you, I think they've been shipping the wrong characters for a lot of years. I think it's got to be Dodd.
Dodd. Duck.
Or Geen, whatever.
Or Sheen. I was gonna say my favorite Jensen thing is he's just amazing at everything. You know, like when he was like the keyboard was set up in the last convention in Toronto, and he just gets back there during his panel and just starts like playing an amazing like tune. And then, but when I was on set doing season 11. And this guy came to the set to measure his ears for these things. He was going to get an ear monitor. And Shepard gave him this gift, and he had this guy, this ear doctor, come, and you have to measure it for these because they fit exactly into your ear. And so the guy's like doing an ear checkup. We're in like our waiting room before we go to set, right? And so the guy's looking in his ear, and the guy's like, oh my God. It's the most amazing ear canal I've ever seen. It's perfect. It's perfect. The guy had to take a knee, like one tear. Like, Jensen was like, is it? Good? Pretty good? You like it? We're like, geez, even his ear canal is perfect.
Want to see pictures of my ear canal? There's my ear canal with Bobo.
If you go real fast on his phone, it's just his ear going. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, obviously you guys are fangirled over a lot. Right? Yeah.
We do?
I was wondering, who do you guys fangirl over?
Who do we fangirl over?
Yeah. I fangirl over Eddie Vedder.
I knew your answer, yeah.
Eddie Vedder, the lead singer of Pearl Jam. Yeah, I have a super crush on Eddie Vedder. And I've randomly met him a couple times, and I didn't have the guts to say that I'm a big fan. I really caved. I had the opportunity, like I was in his dressing room after a gig because I knew a person who knew a person, and somehow like luck just shined on me that day, and it wound up being me and like him and like 3 other people, and I said 2 things, and both things were really stupid. I'm just so mad at myself. I really wish I could have that moment back. I asked him what one of his songs was, even though I knew exactly what it was, what album it was off of, who wrote it, and when. And I'm like, what was that one song you played there at the end? And then he had to tell me what the song was, just because I wanted to make eye contact. And then the other thing is I asked for a cigarette because he was smoking a cigarette, but I was too shy. This is back when I would try a cigarette, which I don't anymore, and I don't condone the use of cigarettes. But I asked for a cigarette. There was a person sitting between us, and I said, can you ask him for a cigarette for me? And she was like, why don't you ask him yourself? And I was like, I'm shy. And then he's talking to another person here, so it's him, person, me, and he just goes like this. Because he heard me. He totally heard what I said. And that was cool.
I've heard this story, and I have this fantasy that somewhere years later, Eddie Vedder's in a hotel room, flipping channels, killing time for a show, and he goes, who's that guy who played God in my dressing room? I gave him smokes. He was weird, didn't say much. There's that guy. There's that guy. Because in my imitation of Eddie Vedder.
Which, by the way, that's my favorite Pearl Jam song. Who's that guy?
He always sings like,
who's that guy?
I remember that kid back then. Really weird.
Gave me the creeps. What about you two? Who do you fangirl over?
I saw Keith Richards walking through a hotel lobby one time and almost shat myself. I thought that was any member of the Rolling Stones, past, present, or future. I mean, it's just phenomenal. Huge REM fan. For me, it's musicians. Like, if I see musicians, that's what blows me away. It's like, obviously, actors, I'm a huge fan. I think if I saw Gary Oldman, I'd pass out. But But I'm such a music buff, and was such a music buff for so many years growing up. And music, I'm sure for all of you, is just a key part of, especially your development years when you're, fighting through your own journey of adolescence and everything. And so REM was the soundtrack of my teens. And so I remember seeing Michael Stipe in a hotel lobby, and just incapacitated. I was like, ha ha ha. And saw him, and that was it. I saw Mike Mills, the bass player, in Austin years later, and got my picture with him. And I was, if you've ever been that person, out in the hall seeing Misha walk by going, which you all have been, add a mustache to yourself, a couple of pounds and a receding hairline, and you got me doing that to Mike Mills. Meanwhile, he's trying to have a civil conversation with somebody, and he's got, some creepo guy just following him around. But he was kind enough to stop and do the photo, and I got my photo with Mike Mills.
That's cool.
Yeah, Matthew?
I don't know. There's no I don't know his name, which is the sad truth. But the lead singer of Mumford & Sons.
Mumford.
Is that his first name?
Marcus.
I'm a huge fan of him, and I've been so stuck on this album of Mumford & Sons and Baba Maal, they did this thing in Africa that's just phenomenal. And every time I watch them, Vivo has this video of them doing this live performance. I don't know if you saw it.
I haven't seen the video. I know the album.
Dude, they go and jam on the bridge of this song, and all of Baba Maal's band and all of Mumford & Sons, and they play it. And my dream would just be to sit there and talk to that dude backstage. Like, I'm just a monster fan of him. Also Joe Rogan, not so much starstruck, but a dude that I've been dying to sit down with, and I will get on his podcast eventually. Mark my words. He's just a guy that's very like-minded like me, and I want to talk to him. He's weird, and I like weird people.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You.
Me. I just want to hear all three of you's cheesiest pickup line.
Say it again.
Your cheesiest pickup line, or your best, whatever works.
Cheesiest pickup line.
Maybe use European Rob.
I have a great one. I'll just start it off. It's my go-to. You've heard it a million times, Robbie. Most of you have probably heard it if you've seen Kings of Con outtakes. Hey, how's it going? Do you like raisins? How about a date?
Good one.
Yes. My favorite.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Love it.
I've never used this one, and because there was never an effective pickup line in my life. Women, and bars did not mix. It did not go well. But I've heard this used by a lot of people, like as a joke, and so I'll just repeat this joke since it's from my home state. Excuse me, are you from Tennessee? Because you're the only 10 I see. There you go. Bravo.
I literally don't have one because I was so bad mine would be, this is me trying to pick, I haven't been single since I was like 20, and that's not even a joke. And now I'm 35. Why are you laughing? And so, but literally it would, this be me trying to go up to a girl in a bar. I can't honestly. Do you like raisins? Me neither. The texture's funny. That's my...
Robbie's like, do you like raisins? How about grapes? 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 No? Figs? Are you a fig girl? Is it a fig thing?
Do you have a favorite?
No, but I'd fall for any of those up there that y'all just did.
It worked, guys. It worked.
Oh, my God.
It worked, Rob.
Sure, now, when it's useless for us. Thank you. All right. Yo.
Hi. What would you tell someone who used to work in the media but left the field and now wants to return, but the concern is that technology changed very quickly and contacts are out of date?
What would we tell somebody who used to work in media, left media, wants to return to media, but is concerned that the technology has moved on beyond her or his? I mean, asking for a friend, I'm sure. Ability to keep up. I think that the learning curve with anything, technology moves at such a breakneck pace. I don't think it's almost impossible to stay ahead of the curve in technology if you work in technology. So I certainly wouldn't let that hold you back.
Certainly there are brush-up classes.
Yeah, there are brush-up classes. Or a lot of times you have to take a position that's lower than where you left in order to bring yourself back up to speed, which happens a lot. If you've left the industry, you got to kind of come back in, several levels beneath to sort of pick up where you left off and gain the knowledge you need. But I certainly wouldn't let it hinder your...
Yeah, I would look at taking some kind of, what do they call it, like satellite college courses or... Mm-hmm. I was going to say outpatient college courses. But you can take like a night college course, that could catch you up on, some of the new stuff. I think it's really easy to learn. I say that not knowing anything about, I haven't learned it, but I hear it's really easy to learn. But yeah, I would think that you'd be able to catch up. If that's what you want to do with your friend, do it.
Good luck. Good luck. You.
Hey, okay, it's apocalypse. Let's say it's apocalypse. Who's hunter and who's gatherer?
I'm sorry, say it again?
Hunter or gatherer. If it's apocalypse, who's hunter or gatherer of the three of y'all?
I can't understand.
Hunter or gatherer?
Hunter or gatherer.
In the apocalypse?
Yes.
Apocalypse has happened. Are you a hunter or a gatherer?
I'm an organizer.
A micro-organizer.
And exactly. And so I'm in charge of keeping tabs on the hunters and the gatherers. I'm neither. I have no skill sets. To be honest, in the New World Order, the mothership will leave terra firma without me on it. So I won't really be there. But were I there, I would sort of be the guy organizing the whole thing. It's all right, gatherers, you're over there. Hunters, you're over there. no fighting amongst yourselves, and guys, quit gathering each other. This is wait till we get out and.
So you're more of a director.
Yeah, exactly. So I would be that guy.
Which you need in the.
You got to have. I mean, hunters. They're not gonna hunt and gather without somebody telling them, okay, go hunt, and how about you go gather? So that'll be my deal. And I think it's pretty obvious. Rob, hunter, Matt, gatherer. I mean, it's so obvious. It's just I don't.
Well, I was going to say when we find out there's actually no food to hunt, and we have to eat each other, I consider myself lunch.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to make a fine or like an after dinner mint. I just think I'm going to be yummy for somebody.
I thought Matt would be like a really delicious 5-course meal, and you would be the shake.
Is that like?
Because you shake.
You took my self-hatred joke and made it more hateful.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Matt would be.
I took your joke and made it mean.
Yeah, you took my mean self joke and made it meaner. Matt, you definitely be the hot one.
Matt would just be delicious. All right.
I was saying earlier that during our intro this morning, that last night your face, you were like unrecognizable because you the skeleton and everything, and still unbelievably hot.
Oh.
Made a hot, very hot skeleton.
Thank you. Thank you, Robbie. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
It's not right. All right, you young lady.
I just want to know what are some of the best parts about directing and some of the most challenging parts about directing on Supernatural.
I'm sorry, say it again.
What's the most rewarding and the most challenging parts of directing?
The most rewarding part of directing is being able to be a part of what's going on every day. When you're acting, even if you're a large role in the episode or the series, you're not in every day, every scene. And so I really enjoy being a part of the process, in pre-production, working with the ideas that are built before we start shooting, and when we're shooting, working with Brad and now Robin, the second camera operator, and Serge, and the entire crew to tell the story that you want to tell the way you want to tell it every day, every shot, every time for the entire run of the episode. I find that very rewarding. That is also the exact same thing that's very challenging, because you have to have a very specific plan for everything that happens in the episode, specifically for every character, for everybody's arc, for every beat, for every scene. So you just have to be very, very, very much on top of it, because your plan's going to fall through, something's going to change, it's going to rain, an actor's going to have to switch his schedule, something is going to happen that throws you off, and if you're not super prepared, you can't adjust on the fly. So the amount of time, these guys know, when I go up to prep, they can't get me on the phone, I can't answer email, like I'm literally buried, and imagine me, I'm inexperienced. Phil, who's the executive producer of the show and currently directing the pilot for Wayward Sisters, is he's the same way. He goes down the rabbit hole. It's just so much work to try to tell the story you want to tell the way you want to tell it and service everybody's characters and all the storylines and all the things that are important. So, what's challenging is also what's rewarding, which I guess makes sense in anything. But it's an awesome experience. I just finished directing my 4th episode a couple weeks ago, and it was, again, an amazing experience. So I look forward to your unfettered review online, which I'm sure you'll give me. But hopefully you enjoy it. It's the 7th episode of this season. Thank you so much. You
You had said that before you went to Supernatural to start directing episodes, you did a bunch of commercials.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering what those commercials were.
Oh, commercial. I did my first commercial I ever did was the Mountain Dew spot. It was a piece of online content, but it's actually a really cool commercial. It had Dale Earnhardt in it, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and
Shaun White, right?
No, it was a different professional snowboarder, and now I can't remember the kid's name, but it was him and a professional skateboarder, and it was this three-day shoot, 1 day in North Carolina, 2 days in Los Angeles. Big thing. I've never been more nervous in my life. Never been more nervous in my life. Couldn't have felt more ill-prepared, because anything I'd ever directed up until then had been with my buddies and my money. So this was neither. This was a lot of people who get paid to do it for a living, and none of whom gave a shit if I, did well or not, and a lot of money from a corporation who wanted me to turn out what they wanted me to turn out. So it's very intimidating, but I'm very proud of that. I'll tweet a link out to it because this is still online, but it's called Breakout Blast, I think was the ad name or whatever, but it was a cool spot. I did a lot of green screen in that spot, which I won't bore you with, but needless to say, if you see the commercial and you see Dale Earnhardt in the car with the snowboarder, they weren't in the car together. I shot Dale Earnhardt in North Carolina. I shot the snowboarder in Los Angeles, and I married them together in post-production with using green screen to shoot the whole thing. So all that was fabricated, which I thought turned out really well. So I did that, and I did a couple other commercials for Pepsi for the Carolina Panthers. There's a defensive player, Luke Kuechly, who's sponsored by Pepsi, and I've directed 2 commercials with him in it, and a few more spots like that. And I think they're online, but it was a great experience, and I love the commercial world. I enjoy the long-form narrative world more. It's where, I enjoy the bigger stories and that kind of thing, but the commercial world I did a lot of commercials as an actor, and it was really fun to come back to that world and direct some, and I hope to do more in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Tricity. So I was wondering, I've been wondering this for like a really long time. So with Chuck, was he always like God from like the very beginning, like before he even came on the show? Or was he the prophet first and then God was like, okay, now I'm going to enter his body to become the show, or whenever he went in to Chuck?
Well, it's a good question. Certainly I can tell you that the actor Rob didn't know when I started. It was just Prophet Chuck. Yeah. And I didn't know until the end of season 5 when Chuck kind of writes the love letter to the show, about baby and everything, describing the boys. That was an episode written by Eric Kripke when he was leaving the show, and they kind of revealed that I'm God, although a lot of people didn't get it, which was, I'm wearing all white at the end and I kind of disappear. That was like the first time I had heard about that. But I think, like the question I answered earlier, it does make sense to me that Chuck was always the vessel, not from birth necessarily, but when we meet Chuck, I think it's totally feasible that at that time he is God occupying the vessel of Chuck, but just kind of there to actually just observe. And there are little lines early on that I don't know if they planned this or not, but when Chuck says in my first episode, he's like, I guess that explains it. I must be God. Like there are things like that I think are fun and little things to go back and see things that I said. But I think that's the fun dichotomy of who Chuck is. He's this, like you said, like kind of a lovable loser, kind of a drinker, a writer who kind of beats himself up, who thinks his books suck. Versus God, you know what I mean? I think it's just it's a really cool dichotomy to be able to play both of those things.
Because it's like you guys are like 2 completely opposite people. So that's why I was wondering, because it was like you were Chuck and then God, and you guys are like completely different.
Yeah, so. I mean, I think it's look, from the beginning, Eric Kripke was like, let fans have their own theories. That he welcomes that. So I think it is up to ultimately you to decide what you think. But I think it is kind of fun to think that at that time he actually was God. But God says in season 11, like, he's just been an observer. He just kind of comes, does some traveling, has some boyfriends, some girlfriends. And, you know what I mean? He just kind of checks shit out. Yeah. And I think that's why people are so pissed off.
Right. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
My question is for all 3 of y'all. If y'all could play any other character on Supernatural, who would it be?
Okay, we get asked this question a lot. I think it's always important to start with. I think the show is one of its strengths is its very strong casting, and I think it's everybody who plays their role was the right person for that role and got it for all the right reasons.
And certainly the answer to this question is for me personally is not even the character, but the actor who plays the character.
Right.
That's you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I know Rich often says Lucifer. Really, what you're saying is Pellegrino.
Because Pellegrino's awesome. Yeah, I love Pellegrino. So I'll stick with that, Robbie.
I for the same reason would say Castiel because of Misha. I would love to be Misha as Castiel.
Matthew?
And I'll say the same thing I always say, Crowley, because I could do a better job.
Yeah. There you go.
JK, just joking.
Do I get to be the last question?
You're the last question.
Awesome.
No, we're all right.
You're not the last question.
Oh, that's okay. I'll
Rich
take
is
it.
directing.
For all three of you, as a director for you and actors for you, if God returns and brings back possibly Gabriel or a Winchester John, do you think it would be more fun to direct and act with young John or Jeffrey Dean Morgan as older John? For Mary's reaction, I know your response is going to be you because you want to be back, but...
What the hell, bro?
Right?
JDM's busy, all right?
Yes, he is.
I'm Papa Winchester.
Yes,
I'm
you
the one
are.
that needs to come back.
And you are
He's
adorable.
Negan.
Yes, you are.
He doesn't exist anymore. I'm Dad, okay?
Please don't not take that as a love.
Him and his bat and his cool jacket and his smashing poor people's faces to bits. I'm lovable John Winchester.
You are.
Yep.
But the question is, how do you think that Mary at her age now would react to you?
She'd be thrilled that I'm back on the show. What kind of question is this? Mary loves me. We made two beautiful babies together.
I'll go. You can have my stuff.
That's a great question. And I'm John Winchester. You're welcome.
Yes, you are.
Thank you very much, everybody. Rob Benedict, Matt Cohen, me. Thank you, boys.
3 is a magic number. Yeah, it is. It's a magic number. 3 is a magic number. Yeah, it is. It's a magic number.
We've had a lot of fun, and now the fun comes to a screeching halt. As we
Richard.
introduce the next event with Adam Malin's least favorite theme song, Costume Contest.